Hey there, welcome to my channel. Today's video is going to be all about the personal change blueprint. What is that, you say? Well, it has to do with self-hypnosis. Putting yourself into the state of hypnosis is easy. In fact, you go in and out of that state several times a day. It's a normal, natural state of being. The true art and skill of the hypnotist is knowing what to say to that person once they get into that state. So you are the hypnotist, right? If you're doing self-hypnosis, you're going to hypnotize yourself. But what are you going to say to yourself? There's a right way and a wrong way to deliver suggestions. I'm going to teach you the right way to do it by following my signature program, the Personal Change Blueprint. Let's get started. Personal Change Blueprint is a process that I use with every single client, with every single session that we do together. And it works. It works physically in the brain because this is the right way to change those neural pathways. But as you change the neural pathways in your brain, okay, that means you create a new habit, a new ritual or routine. But then the subconscious mind, which is sending out a vibrational frequency, out into the universe, and it finds that matching frequency that it resonates with and brings that back to you. This is how you master the law of attraction. You master the law of attraction by learning to master a new habit, by learning to master the signal that your subconscious mind is sending out. So no matter what you're trying to manifest, whether it's a thing, like a house or a car or a job or a partner, okay, it's based on your experience with any of those. It's based on the frequency you're sending out. Well, this is how you change that frequency. And it has a lot more to do than just thinking a lot of pretty thoughts, because you're sending information out on the conscious mind and the subconscious mind, the frequency, and together they bring back what you know as your life experience. The glitch is the fact that between these two, the frequency they're sending out, it equals 100% together, but the conscious part of your mind is only sending out 1 to 5% of that vibrational frequency. So this is the process that you can use to start programming yourself to change the frequency so that you draw back to yourself what you actually want. There is a right way and a wrong way to do this. This is the right way. This is the right way to create suggestions for yourself in self-hypnosis. You can apply this to everything under the sun. And I know that if you use this, you're going to have great success with your self-hypnosis practice. So let's just get started. I'm going to go through this and step by step, and you will be able to do this on your own. The first step that you're going to do anytime you want to change a habit, and again, let me stress to you that the wanting of something like a new house or a new car, how can you look at that as a habit? Have you ever thought of that? You have the habit of manifesting poverty consciousness, or you have the habit of always having a crappy car. Interesting thought, isn't it? Now, most of the time we think of habits as a behavior or a belief, but anything in your life can be considered a habit because you're maintaining that category of your life the way it is through the habit of thought, through the habit of the frequency that you're sending out. So the first step in this blueprint is to look at the unwanted situation, whether it's a habit or a belief or a circumstance. Look at the unwanted habit, belief, or circumstance and say, when did it start? When did this start for me? And here's why I want you to identify when it started. Because if you can identify when it started, you may be able to identify some value in that. We've got to find some value, some positive, because your subconscious mind always thinks it's doing what it ought to be doing for a good reason. It doesn't know that half the time it's making you miserable. It's just repetitive. It's kind of like the algorithm on TikTok. You're familiar with that, right? So how does TikTok know what to put in your feed? Well, by what you focus on all the time. It's like you're always focusing on having this car that breaks down all the time. It's all you think about. It's all you talk about. It's all you worry about. It's this car breaking down all the time. So that must be what you want. So it keeps feeding that same thing to you. I know that's ridiculous when you think of TikTok doing that. That's how it works. So you are programmed to always have a car that's breaking down on you, or you're programmed to always be short on money because it's what you think about, it's what you talk about, it's what you worry about. So if you look at that situation and say, all right, I got to change this. But if we turn it into the enemy, if we demonize this problem, this unwanted circumstance, belief, or behavior, then we are sending out more vibrational frequency about what we don't want. So we got to find something we like about it. We got to find something of value that we can glean from the situation. Perhaps you have learned to be pretty thrifty and to fix a car. Perhaps it has taught you to be very mindful about where you're going so that you are the most effective in your mileage with this old car. Let's think of a different circumstance. Perhaps you want to manifest a new house. Well, what value have you gotten out of having the kind of house you don't like? Oh, a lot of value. You know, I was just talking to a woman the other day, and she was telling me all about how much she hated her kitchen. I said, but doesn't having that kitchen that's so little and poorly designed, hasn't it brought to light what you want in a kitchen? You know, don't you know the importance? Because if you didn't, you might go build a house that had the same inefficient design. But now you see the value in having more cabinet space. You see the value in having a different kind of refrigerator. So it has served its purpose. It has brought value to you. Let's say you have anxiety all the time. Well, that's a tough one, isn't it? What kind of value has that brought to you? Anxiety is always an effort to protect you. It's a way of your subconscious mind raising the red flag. You know, if you like have panic attacks or you go into fight or flight, it's saying, hello, heads up, something is wrong. Something's dangerous. You need to get out of there. It's trying to save your life. And so when you can identify some kind of value out of the situation that you don't want anymore, then what you can do is you can say, all right, I see that value. Subconscious mind, thank you. Thank you for bringing that to me. I appreciate it. And, you know, at the time the situation started, it really was valuable. But now, and this is where we get to the now statement, if you can see that on the slide there. What you're going to do is you're going to come up with a now statement and tell your subconscious mind why you don't need that value anymore, or why you can find that value in ways that is more appropriate for you. Let me give you another example, and it has to do with cigarette smoking. This is a good one because when my clients come to me and they want to manifest the freedom from the habit of smoking, okay, manifesting is still a law of attraction. And I want to say, let's look at the value that comes to you from the smoking habit. Well, of course, there's no value in it right now, or they wouldn't be here, right? They hate it. It's expensive and it's stinky and it's killing them and it's inappropriate. And it's like, there's nothing good. And they're absolutely right. This is why we want to go back to the time that the behavior or the belief or the circumstance was created and see if there's some value there. That's where we're going to find the value. And your subconscious mind does not know that it's 5 years later or 10 years later or 30 years later. It doesn't know that. Okay? It doesn't know the difference. It doesn't go in time. It's like, you know, the program, the habit that you learn when you learn to tie your shoes, it's the same today as it was when you learned to tie your shoes. It's not any different at all. The same with the smoking habit. When you learned to smoke and created that habit, go back there and tell me, where's the value? Well, I'll tell you what it was. I'm a former smoker. And when I started smoking all those years ago, it was fun. It was hella fun. It was party time. There was smoking and drinking and rock music and cute guys in fast cars with big fat tires. And yes, it was the 70s. But dang it all, I had a blast back in that day. And the fact that I was too young to be smoking made it even more fun. So at the time I learned to be a smoker, there was a ton of value incorporated in that habit. And when my subconscious mind created those neural pathways or the habit of smoking, it included all of that fun, all of that value, all of that emotion. So I would say, subconscious mind, thank you for creating such a fun experience for me back in the day. But I'm older and wiser. I'm a grown woman now, and I no longer need cigarettes to have fun. So now, and then I would tell my subconscious mind what's going on now. Can you feel the difference in that energy exchange? Okay. And again, I want you to think about the energy we're sending out, this vibrational frequency. Frequency has energy, or pardon me, has information on it. And that information is the content of the imagery that we conjure up in the subconscious mind. So instead of saying, I hate smoking, it stinks, it's expensive, it's bad for me, it's inappropriate. Okay, if I were sending all of that out, guess what? That information would find another vibration that it resonated with that same information, and it would bring that back to me, and I would have a hell of a time giving up the habit of smoking. But when I say thank you, that was lovely then, but now here's what's going on, it's sending out a whole nother vibe, and it's positive. It's all positive. So there's no resistance in there. This is probably the most important step in regard to law of attraction and doing self-hypnosis. Because we never want to demonize that unwanted thing that we were doing, the behavior, the belief, the circumstance, whatever it is. So this is where I imagine you are going to have the most comments here, is you're going to say, I've always had a rickety old car that breaks down all the time. Where is the value in that? Ask me. Let's have a conversation about it, because sometimes these things are hard to figure out. I'm here to help you. Please take advantage of that opportunity. So this is the first step. And this is what you're doing, is you are creating the story you're going to tell back to yourself in your self-hypnosis. Because this whole story is like a little mind movie. It's going to create imagery in the subconscious mind. You're going to physically rewire your brain. That in turn is going to send a new vibrational frequency out into the universe. That's going to resonate with whatever, to a match to whatever you have sent out. And that's what's going to come back to you. That's how law of attraction works. It's just that easy, right? Now that you know about it, it's easy. So this is the first step for you, okay? Again, leave me some questions, and I'm happy to help you with this. It could be a little bit tricky. Let's look at step 2. This is where you're going to identify the actual change that you want, okay? So this time, I just want a sentence. Try to make it short and sweet and to the point. This is the main idea of your self-hypnosis. Now, here's key. Look at these instructions. You don't want to write down what you don't want, okay? Remember, your subconscious mind is going to toss out the words like don't and won't and stop and quit, and then make a picture of whatever else is left. So if you say to yourself, I don't want to live in an apartment anymore. You just made a picture of yourself living in an apartment. And that's what you're sending out. Well, guess what? That's what you're going to get back. So you've got to use the right language that creates the imagery of what you want. This is the main idea of your self-hypnosis session. And this is it. If this was a movie, a book title, that would be the title of it. So make it exactly what you want. Now you're on to step 3. And everything from this point forward, I want you to answer from the perspective that you have already accomplished that outcome. And in fact, in the instructions here, what I want you to do is I want you to review this question starting with the outcome. And I want you to put the word because in front of that outcome. Because I find it easy to get a full night's sleep. Because I am free from the smoking habit. Because I easily disregard any thought about sweets, whatever it is, okay? Because I am so comfortable in a job interview. Whatever your outcome is, put that word because in front of it, and now I want you to brainstorm a whole list of all of the changes in your life that demonstrate to you that you have, in fact, accomplished that outcome. Okay? It's just kind of brainstorm. Think about what kind of changes do you notice? Evidence. This is the evidence, right? What's different in your life? Because you have accomplished your outcome. Let's look at the next one, step 4. Again, from the perspective that you have done this, not that you're going to, because if you say, I'm going to, that's always in the future. And it just leapfrogs through time with you. So don't do that. Write all of this stuff down, all of these answers to your blueprint from the present moment. Right here, right now, it's all about you. It's positive. You're using language that creates the picture of what you do want. And now we're going to go back, review the outcome. And then we're going to say, because I've accomplished that, review the evidence. And now, when you think about that, what imagery comes to mind? What does this look like? You will inevitably think of things you already wrote down in step 3 and the evidence, and that's okay. But guess what? As you spend time focusing on any given subject, every 17 seconds, your mind generates or attracts another thought in that same category. So think about what you're doing right now as you're working through your blueprint, and you're not even in hypnosis yet. You are thinking about this stuff, and you are starting to send out the vibrational frequency of what you want. This is so much better than sitting there and pissing and moaning about what you don't want, because that is the frequency you're sending out and getting back. You're already changing the tune of this frequency that you are sending out by filling out the blueprint. I think that's kind of snazzy. So what do you see? What imagery comes to mind? It's all right if you write down something that you already jotted down. Jot it down again, okay? This one's about imagery. And I want to mention too, these answers can be literal or figurative. Perhaps you actually see yourself finishing a meal and getting up from the table and taking the dog out for a walk. Okay? Maybe you see yourself signing the papers on that new house that you love so much. What do you see? That's very literal. Perhaps you see rainbows and butterflies. And that is just as good an answer as anything else. If you see rainbows and butterflies, by God, write it down. It's okay. And the next one, we're on to step 5 now. This one's very similar, but this time we're going to be writing down associated sounds. And I think that's such a weird question. When I used to ask my clients that, I would kind of like brace myself like, oh boy, here we go. Going to get the eye roll on this one. So I've prefaced it a little better, and I thought, think of this as you writing a little play, okay? But the cast and crew can only come and practice one scene per day. So we're on step 5, scene 5. So the cast and crews come back, but you got to bring them up to speed on where we were. So you're going to review what they've already practiced before. So we go all the way back to the outcome. And because I have accomplished X, Y, Z, I see all of this beautiful evidence, and you go through that and you talk about it and you comment and maybe you add a few more ideas into it. When I see this beautiful change I've created, the image that comes to mind looks like blah, blah, blah. You write down whatever the imagery was. And now, of course, every play, every movie has a soundtrack. What sounds are associated with your personal change blueprint? It can be the voice in your head. It can be comments from other people. And it can be the absence of a sound as well. All of those count. You might hear the sound of the movers moving that furniture into your new house. You might hear the sound of the birds in the morning when you wake up for the very first time since you crawled in bed, 8 hours ago. You might hear the absence of the sound of that cigarette cough, that smoker's cough. Who knows? There's going to be a lot of sounds. What sounds are associated with the fact that you have accomplished your outcome? Again, you love this. I love the vibe. You're sending out this vibe already into the universe. This is how you go beyond just saying, I wish I had a new car. I wish I had a new car. I wish I had a new car. I recently listened to a recording from a woman who's a pretty well-known law of attraction guru, so she tells me, and I won the CD in this raffle that was all about how to be a millionaire. And I was listening to her, and that's what she had me do, was just say, I am a millionaire. I am a millionaire. I am a millionaire. Well, guess what? I'm not a millionaire, and neither is she, because that's not how it works. Your conscious mind can say I'm a millionaire all day long, but it's only contributing 1 to 5% of that vibrational frequency. You got to get the subconscious mind on board with what you want, and this is how you do it with this personal change blueprint because of the imagery. So we're making a little mind movie. So you got the evidence, you got the imagery, and now you've got the sounds going on with your little movie thing going on. And now you're on to the next step, and this is step 6. This one is about what it feels like. Because you have accomplished your outcome, how does that feel? Now, this includes physical or emotional, and again, it can be literal or figurative. And this one is interesting because I will bet you anything that if you look at some of the information you already wrote on the previous answers, some of them were how it felt. That's really normal. My clients do that all the time. And you can just leave those there. You don't need to move them down here, because when you get to the point of doing your self-hypnosis, all of this information you're writing down, these answers, will constitute the suggestions you say to yourself in self-hypnosis, and they do not have to be in the same order that you are seeing them on the blueprint. Self-hypnosis is not linear. You don't have to go from step 1 to 2 to 3 to 4. Mix this up. Let it be fluid. It's a beautiful story, and it's your story, and it's your imagery. So don't worry if you repeat things or move things around at all. But in this section, again, your casting crew came in, and they left after practice yesterday, and they're back today. And so you want to bring them back up to speed. So you're going to review the previous scenes, or in this case, the previous steps, to get everybody back on board so they know where they're at when it's time to practice this scene about how it feels. So because I have accomplished my outcome, I see all of this evidence and state the evidence and tell the story, make it rich, make it vivid, okay? And because of all of that, I see this imagery, this beautiful imagery. I notice this and this and this, and the sounds are coming through, and it just makes me feel, okay? And now you get to answer this one. How does it feel physically? If you are working on something that is, very physical, like exercising, well, you're going to feel stronger. You're going to stand taller. You might feel smaller in your clothes. Your clothes might feel more comfortable. If you're working on your eating habits, you might feel more confident, more relaxed. You might feel very, very proud of yourself, and I hope you do. You might feel this incredible sense of relief because you've accomplished your outcome. You might feel liberated. You might feel empowered. You might feel so, so, so happy to know that for the first time in your life, you are free from wishing you were different than you are. I can't think of anything better than that one right there. So this is what you would write down on step 6. It has to do with how you feel. The cast and crew left, and they came back, and we're on to step 7 now. And this one's a little different. We kind of, broke the pattern of what you've been answering. This time, you kind of step back and you look at all of this change. I mean, you've got this really fabulous story going, and not only are you rewiring those neural pathways in your brain, you are retraining the vibrational frequency you're sending out. I mean, think about it. All of the stuff you've been writing, you're not even done yet. It's going out into the universe, and it's going to find the vibrational frequency that it resonates with, something the same, and bring that back to you. Isn't that exciting? I think it's phenomenal. I want the whole world to know about this. Do me a favor. Share the heck out of this video. Share the heck out of all these videos with people, because people need to know how easy the law of attraction can be if you just understand some of these basic tenets. Okay, so yeah, give me a like, subscribe if you haven't, leave a comment for me, and let's look at step 7, because step 7 says, look at this whole thing you got going so far, and then tell me this. What does having this change do for you? I used to call this the come to Jesus moment. It's sort of like, whoa, this is, let's get serious here for a moment. What does having this change do for you? I mean, seriously, what would it do for you to know that by using self-hypnosis, by learning how to master the law of attraction, that you actually manifested a new house or a new car or a beautiful relationship or a health situation that is just what you wanted? Or perhaps you manifested the lifestyle of being free from the habit of smoking or drinking or using heroin. I've helped people give up heroin with this process. It's just so amazing. So think about having this change, and what does having this change do for you? That is what you're going to write in step 7. Pretty cool. Step 8. Now, this actually is the last question, but we're going to ask the same question 5 different times. So it's not really the last question. Well, it's the last question, but it's applied to 5 different things. And the question is this: because you have accomplished your outcome, what kind of positive influence does this have on, first of all, your relationships, or the way you interact with people? And this is everybody, not just your intimate relationships. It's friends, it's family, it's coworkers, it's neighbors, it's strangers, it's community, it's people here, it's people there. What kind of change, how's that going to influence the way you interact with complete strangers at the grocery store? You're probably going to be pretty chill. It's like, oh yeah, no, go ahead, or oh, can I help you reach that? Your niceness is going to be there. That's who you are in reality. You're going to be easier to be around. You are going to be more approachable. You're going to enjoy socializing more. You're going to find yourself accepting invitations to go out with your friends. Perhaps you will be entertaining more at your own home. How is this going to influence the way you interact with your partner, with your kids, with your dog? Okay, so that's 8A right here. The next one, you're going to look at the positive influence. You'll notice, and again, because you accomplish your outcome, what kind of positive influence is this going to have on your career or finances? Now, if you're a student, just switch that. Instead of career, finances, my studies, my education, whatever your circumstance is. What kind of positive influence does this have on your career or finances? Now, some of the things that I work with clients has absolutely no bearing on their career or finances at all. So if that is the case for you, you don't have to write anything. Don't fake it. Don't make something up, right? If this is not relevant to your circumstance, then just skip it. Scroll on by, right? But you may notice, depending on the change that you made, what if you got a new car? How's that going to influence your career and finances? Well, you're going to feel really proud of yourself and respectable if any of your coworkers see you in the parking lot in your beautiful new car, right? And maybe they will think, oh my gosh, you have been, you're such a good worker and you've been promoted and you're very good with your money and, you can manage and you can budget, and so kind of a positive influence that'll have. And what about giving up smoking? That could have a nice effect on your career and finances, especially your finances. A lot of things will have a positive influence on career and finances. So this is where you would write that. The next part, again, we're still on step 8. This is 8C. And again, because you have accomplished your outcome, what kind of positive influence does this have on your health? What kind of influence does it have on your health? That's a pretty wide umbrella. Cover all aspects of this: physical health, emotional health, intellectual health, right? Your gut health, spiritual health, all those different areas. And think about that. For many people, when they learn to master the law of attraction, they feel a sense of relief. And so there's less stress and they find they're sleeping better. So that's health right there, less stress. The domino effect. So then I'm sleeping better. And when I sleep better, I wake up refreshed and I feel like working out. And because I'm working out on a regular basis, it's easy to eat right. Okay? This, and this. I don't know if that's true for you, but if it is, this is where you're going to write down the positive influences you will notice on your health. The next one, 8D, same question, but now we're looking at self-esteem. I agree with you if you are thinking that self-esteem should probably be part of the health question, right? It is part of your health, your mental health, your emotional health. But it's so very important, and it's such a big part of this process that I held it out in isolation, because I want you to really, really identify the positive influence on your self-talk, on how you feel about yourself, because you have accomplished this magnificent outcome that you've accomplished. You're going to feel better about yourself. You're going to look in the mirror. You're going to like what you see. You're going to feel more comfortable around other people because you're proud of the changes you've made, okay, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. What kind of positive influence do you notice on your self-esteem? One more question, and I promise this is the last one. And this is, what kind of positive influence does all of this have on your spiritual practice? If you have one. If you don't have one, you're done, okay? But if you do have one, stop and think about whether or not this outcome that you have accomplished and all of the details you have identified, is that going to have any kind of positive influence over your spiritual practice? Will it make you feel more connected to your higher self? Will it make it more plausible that you will attend a weekend retreat? You don't have to worry about smoking anymore. Will it make it more plausible that you would start holding meditation classes at your home because you have a new place to live and you're proud of it and there's room for more than 3 people in the living room at the same time? Perhaps your spiritual practice has to do with going to church, and this change that you've made makes you more comfortable going back to church and interacting with those people again. Whatever it is for you, this is where you're going to write down the positive influence you notice in your spiritual practice. And again, it's because you have accomplished your outcome. So that's it. This is the magic formula. This is my little piece of heaven that I use with every client, with every session. And not only does it rewire the brain to create a new habit, a new belief, a new circumstance, this is how you master the law of attraction right here, because you are entraining those vibrational frequencies with all of this beautiful, positive imagery. And all of these questions really help you to flesh it out, to turn it into a full-fledged mind movie. And as you repeat this visualization 2 or 3 times is all, each time you do self-hypnosis, you permanently change the wiring in your brain, and then you permanently change that vibrational frequency. So then you start attracting what you want and you start manifesting. That vibrational frequency begins to manifest in form. And that's how you master the law of attraction. Don't skip this step. If you're going to do self-hypnosis because you want to get a new car, you can't just go into hypnosis and say, I want a new car, I want a new car, I want a new car. It doesn't work that way. Okay? This will help bring your subconscious mind on board with the conscious mind. And that's how it works. So happy manifesting. Again, please leave some comments for me here. You're going to have questions about doing this. I hope that you have jotted down these questions. Of course, you can come back here and look at these anytime. But this is it. I'm excited to see how this goes for you. So good luck, congratulations, and happy manifesting.